Hello and welcome to the Filmmaker's Tavern, where films are played 24/7 and filmmakers get a free pint on me, your bartender and host, C. Alexander Padilla. So, this episode is going to be a little different. Um, Not going to talk about relationships, not going to talk about the show. There's not even a movie playing in the background. As you can tell by the title, we're going to talk about suicide, a very serious topic and a topic that has been in the news recently with Kate Spade and very recently Anthony Bourdain. And before I get into this discussion, okay, I want to put out there a couple of things. One, to any concerned friends or family members out there, listen. I've had suicidal thoughts, okay? And you're going to know about one instance in this podcast. Now, I have no intention of committing suicide, okay? I have control over it. I'm able to manage it pretty effortlessly, okay? So, and I know what a lot of people say when people hear that. You think you have control, and then all of a sudden something's gonna happen and it's gonna change everything. No. Okay, first off, I don't think that you have the right to tell me how I'm able to deal with something like suicide. That is something that is individually dealt with, okay? Everybody's different. So to say that I don't have control over something I do have control over is nonsense. So, I mean, respectfully, I love you all, but just understand that I've been dealing with this for years. So, I think I think I have, and by years, I'm talking, I was 13. So, 25 now. Yeah, yeah. It's been 12 years, okay? 12 years. So I think I have a grasp on it, okay? Two, um, everything that I'm going to be saying in this podcast, in this episode, is from my experience, okay? I am not a medical professional, okay? I am, I'm not giving medical advice here, all right? Take this information, take everything that I'm saying, and really think about it, okay? That's all I want this to be. I want this to be the episode that helps that one person out there, or those people out there that have tried talking to someone, who've tried writing down their thoughts and feel like there's no other way they can be helped. All I ask is that you listen to this episode. Okay? So, mortality and life to me are both comedic in their own way. Now, you have life. Funny, much like death, is unpredictable. You don't know when you're going to die, but you know it's coming. But if you talk to the average person and ask them how often do they think about death, most of the time the answer you hear is hardly ever or rarely. For me, it's on my mind. I mean, because why wouldn't it be? You know? It's like going to the country and looking up at the sky and seeing all those stars at night and saying, "Oh my God, that could be a planet, that could be a galaxy, you know, a universe out there." And I think about that shit all the fucking time, and it blows my mind because all those stars are mystery, just like death is big mystery. Nobody knows what happens. People have faith in believing that there is an afterlife. There's a heaven, there's a hell, and every single one of us is going to experience death at some point. They're going to get that answer. They're going to know if there is an afterlife or if there's not an afterlife. And I think about it. I mean, I think about it when I'm reading the Bible, you know, like this could be a possibility. It could be. What if it's real? What if all this is real? What if what I'm reading is real, right? It's a mystery. And like every mystery, and especially when it involves something final like death, you have to respect it. Now I know what you're thinking. How can this help with suicide? Huh? You respect death, motherfucker. I'm about to kill myself, you know? And you're saying it's funny, I'm not laughing. Well, here's the thing. When I was 13, I thought about committing suicide in my mind. It was a 50-50 decision. I never give anything that major anything more than 50-50. Think about it. One, you're alive. In one instance, you're alive, and in the next, you're dead. That's, if that's not 50-50, I don't know what is. So, what that meant was that I sat down and wrote the pros, cons of killing myself. And this is what I wrote. Family's important. I can't think of my mom coming in, finding me, or someone else. Okay, let's say I don't decide to do it here. Where would I go? I don't have money. I'd hang myself, but Mom took me out of the Cub Scouts, so never learned my knots. Thanks, Mom. And like then, now it made me chuckle. And the more I thought about it, the more ridiculous my suicide became. And by the end, I was attaching a rope to the wing of a jet piloted by Rick Moranis in his dark helmet costume. I said Darth from Spaceballs. And the thought of committing suicide was or the act of committing suicide was just as ridiculous as the scenario it made up. So I didn't do it. But I'm going to be honest. I was crying and laughing through it. You know? I mean, it was a 50-50 decision. I was a bit relieved. But every time I thought about it, every time I thought about suicide, I just make up another scenario. And slowly I started to gain control over it. And let me tell you, once you have that control, shit, it's undescribable. Sorry, I had to pause for a second, had to check something, but I can't remember what I was saying. But the point is, when you gain control over suicide, that feeling is indescribable. Because for however long you've been struggling with it, it has been dominant in your life. And now, when it creeps in, when you've got out of a relationship or getting a divorce, got fired from a job, drugs, alcohol, whatever the case may be, whatever reasons you have for wanting to commit suicide, that's when it creeps in, you know? Like oh, perfect, like Greedo, you know? And once you have control over it, you're like Han, right? And I'm talking the original, okay? This isn't the special edition Star Wars, okay? So, Greedo's like, "Oh yeah, the bad stuff happens. Okay, well, why don't we come over here and we'll talk about it and we'll discuss this, cuz yeah, oh, that sucks. Yeah. Oh, why don't you try, like hanging yourself or slicing your wrist, and all the while you're reaching for your blaster, the blaster being, the goofy making fun of suicide scenario that you made up. And you're just like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna," and then poof, you shoot first. And then there's your suicidal thoughts cooking on the table. Wow. I think that is the first time Star Wars was used to to describe how to deal with suicidal thoughts. I mean, aside from the obvious, which would be like light side and dark side. I don't want to get into that. The point is, you have control. And after Anthony Bourdain committed suicide, on Facebook, there were a lot of people posting the suicide hotline number, as well as saying, they're not alone, talk to someone. And if you haven't done anything, like if you haven't written it down, you haven't talked to someone, those help immensely, you know? Those help immensely because, you know, you talking to someone, getting all those emotions out, maybe that is what you need. And then if you do it and you let everything out and it still doesn't help, at least you know it doesn't work for you. So maybe go to writing. And then maybe you start writing, but maybe writing is that thing that helps you get your thoughts out. And then when you go and talk to someone, you can bring your journal and be like, this is how I feel right here. Okay? But like me, I talked to a therapist. And when I made that 50-50 decision when I was 13, there was nobody there. The therapist wasn't there. Nobody was there. It was just me. And I think that should be addressed because sometimes talking to someone doesn't help. Sometimes having someone there isn't going to change anything. The biggest battle you have to fight is with yourself. And if you can't get the upper hand on you, then no amount of talking or writing is going to change that. You have to be able to look suicide in the face and make it look fucking ridiculous. Mock it, ridicule it. Don't let it control you. And then realize how ridiculous it is. And then after you laugh and cry, understand that there are people out there that do care about you. And if you want to talk to somebody after that, then talk to someone. If you don't, you don't have to. I mean, this podcast is going to be posted on my Facebook page. You could message me and you know, we can talk about what's going on with you. Maybe you want to tell me that crazy story you made up about your suicide. We can both cry and laugh together. Or we could just talk. I'm just letting you know that I'm here. And, coming from, you know, coming from having those same thoughts that you might be having, I found a way for it to help me. And if it could help you, and if someone's out there and you know someone who's had suicidal thoughts, who's attempted suicide, who has talked about it, please share this podcast with them. Maybe it'll help. This was a quick podcast. I just wanted to make it because I know it's like to be out there alone with these thoughts and how scary it is. And it sucks. It's fucking horrible. It's cripple. It can be crippling at times, you know? But if you listen to this and you made your scenario and it worked, just remember, always remember to be ridiculous with it. Just be ridiculous. Be as ridiculous as you can possibly be. So now I'm going to end the podcast like I end all my podcasts. And it's funny that we're talking about life and death. And that's because death is something that for me, I know is out there, I know that I could go out walking and I could get hit by a car, or I could be going somewhere and get in a car accident, or I could get shot, I could get stabbed. Whatever the case may be, I know it could happen. And this part of the podcast serves to kind of let everybody know that I love and care about them. Okay? Everybody that's in my life that I care about. Okay? So, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, my aunt, my uncles, my cousins, my 2 grandmas, and my grandpa, and, well, 2 very special people. You know who you are. And I just want y'all to know that I love you. No matter what, like maybe we've gotten to an argument about laundry or something, or maybe, I forgot to call you, or, whatever the case may be, just know that I loved you, okay? Y'all made me happy. Y'all made this life worth living. Let me tell you. The laughs, the hard times, and everything in between was just amazing, all right? Now, hopefully I'm looking down at you, all right? And if that's the case, well, I hope to see you guys much, 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 much later. But if I don't make it, I hope I never see any of you. Okay? That was a little... I mean, if I'm looking up, I don't want anybody else with me, okay? I know that was a little bit of a... I know that was a little bit of a dark joke, but I just wanted to make a joke because, just wanted to ease a little bit of the tension. But if you haven't called the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, the number is 1-800-273-8255. And yeah, give them a call. And on a serious note, you are loved. You're not alone. You're very special. Suicide is taking away the opportunity for things to get better. Okay? Because life is full of bad shit. It is. Saying it's not would be lying to you. But it's also filled with amazing things, beautiful things, great things. Don't cut your life short. Don't. Well, that's the podcast. Um, the bartenders or the bar stools are going up on the bar. I'm pouring myself 4 fingers of single malt Bayside Scotch, and I'm turning off the lights. Wishing you all good night, good afternoon, good morning, goodbye, and take care of yourself.